Start on Impact.
Let it go.
Let's get this over with.
Mr. Anderson came out.
I'm actually feeling better.
He was owed, his contract said he had a title rematch. He said he was not going to leave the ring until he got it. This turned out to be a lie. He said that he may be an asshole, but Rob Van Dam was not a law-abiding citizen.
Yeah.
So Rob came out.
Your top babyface came out and bitched that the network was mad at him for saying naughty words, but they weren't mad at RVD for being a pot smoker.
Right.
That's essentially what he said.
Yeah.
What a whiny bitch.
So Rob Van Dam came out. He wanted to know about the laws of morality and ethics and honor and professionalism. Said it was Anderson's job to ref a match, and so he shouldn't have gotten in the way. He said Anderson knew RVD was a better wrestler, and if Rob got the title first, then Anderson knew he would never get it.
Yes, Rob Van Dam and Mr. Anderson argue over who is a better worker.
That actually was an amazing debate. And Anderson said he didn't care. He just wanted his rematch, so Rob punched him.
No, you forgot. First, they yelled at each other.
There was a lot of bickering. Rob punched him. They had a brawl. So Bischoff and the crew came out, and he said he was going to give Anderson a rematch tonight. Which
you forgot. Inept security broke it up.
That also happened.
This is very important that I mention this. You'll see why later.
Okay. Inept security broke it up. Bischoff said he was going to give Anderson a rematch, but instead he had a better idea. He's going to make it Anderson versus RVD. And then Jarrett whispered in his ear, and so he added Kurt Angle to the match as well to make it a three-way.
You're missing another key here. He said he was going to give Anderson the rematch.
Can anyone tell I'm no longer trying?
He said that Anderson was going to give him a rematch until he saw the ratings draw before his eyes. So in other words, Anderson versus RVD is a bigger ratings draw than Anderson versus Jeff Hardy for the championship.
Whatever.
And TNA characters talking about ratings is the most infuriating thing in the world. Who gives a fuck about TNA ratings?
Is spitting up bile from his throat.
I literally coughed up phlegm in the middle of recapping Impact.
Yes.
There's a drop for the ages right there.
The point is, the main event of this show, by the time all said and done, was Anderson versus RVD versus Kurt Angle.
I feel like I'm regurgitating phlegm into the microphone. It's healing me.
Regurgitation. Scott Steiner was backstage talking about beer and muscles, talking about his pose down with Rob Terry when Eric Young appeared behind him with no shirt, posing by himself. Steiner tried to throw him out. Eric wouldn't go. Went on for a long time. It was incredibly unfunny. At first, Scott was the biggest babyface on earth because he was shouting and screaming at Eric Young to shut up and leave. But then, because he did not kill him, he turned into a heel. A babyface would have murdered this man.
Yeah.
Speaking of...
Total nonstop yelling.
Speaking of infuriating segments, the Jarretts went wedding dress shopping. Karen didn't like any of the dresses. She was being bitchy. Kurt had some ideas. Who cares?
I was not involved in this process prior to my wedding, thank God.
That was wise. Yes, just wear whatever you want. I will meet you at the altar. Kurt.
That is essentially exactly how it went.
Great. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So
I'm not wearing the dress.
Kurt's yet. Kurt was watching this video, and he said this showed they were not the perfect couple. He promised to give them a wedding they would never forget, and said he was in a bad mood tonight for the three-way dance. We're not going to match that I am not going to make up here. This really happened on television before my eyes. Gunner and Murphy versus Orlando Jordan and Eric Young in the tag team match from hell. So they're about to wrestle when Beer Money comes out to watch. Why would anyone do this? Why would you stop what you were doing and come out to watch this match?
They were scouting. They get the winners next week. This was a #1 contenders match.
That's not a good enough reason. I still wouldn't watch it.
Vinny, Gunner and Murphy against Eric Young and Orlando Jordan in a #1 contenders match.
Yes, I understand your point. These were theoretically the second and third best teams in TNA.
Gunner and Murphy.
And that's awful.
Or Murphy and Eric, actually. Eric Young and Murphy fucked up a schoolboy.
Well, Murphy mostly.
This is when you close up shop. This is when you just give up.
He is pretty horrible. He's Yeah, he did fuck up the schoolboy to an amazing degree. He almost concussed himself.
He almost blew out his own knee.
Yes, taking the schoolboy. He managed to hurt his head, neck, and knee, taking a schoolboy.
You know what amazed me about this was... So, first off, did they do like a single vignette to explain how Gunner and Murphy went from dork security guards to wrestlers?
Of course not.
And who did they beat to become number one contenders anyway?
Nobody.
Or to become number two contenders?
Yeah, nobody. This is their first win.
Second, Gunner and Murphy are heels. This was when I got pissed off. I was trying so hard to just not care. Eric Young and Orlando Jordan are baby faces, I think.
Are you sure?
If I'm mistaken, someone can correct me.
I have no idea.
So in this match, they get the heat on Eric, and he is selling a babyface in peril. So he makes a brief comeback, and does he make a tag?
No.
No. What he does is he stops, he stands in the middle of the ring, he pulls down his pants to reveal that he's wearing, I believe, Team Canada gear. He proceeds to fire up, he pumps his fist, and he is immediately clotheslined to death, and then they hit him with a move and pin him. A complete moron.
It is worse than that, because that happened up to the point where he was clotheslined to death. Orlando Jordan then came in to protest, I guess protest against his own tag team partner for being a pussy. And as Orlando was protesting, Murphy laid him out. So Orlando looked like a complete buffoon. Then Gunner and Murphy went to do a tag team finisher. Their timing was horrible. I blame Murphy. I've determined he's the shitty one. And they pinned Eric Young to become the second best tag team in TNA, and poor Beer Money is going to have to wrestle these men.
Next week. This was no good.
This was terrible. And you know what? It was 1,000 times better than the women's tag match last week.
Yeah.
Angelina met with Velvet Sky. Their volumes were on about a scale of 3 on a scale of 1 to 10, so that's good. She basically advised Velvet to not put her career on the line next week. Velvet said she needed some time alone.
No, you missed the key here.
Of course I did.
Angelina is trying to talk Velvet into putting her career on the line. And what is Velvet's comeback? She says, well, what would you do if you were in my position? And Angelina calmly says, well, I wouldn't put my career on the line. And that's when Velvet said, I need some time alone. I need to collect my thoughts. She's had a week to collect her thoughts. She's got another week before the match. What's her fucking hurry? This was dumb.
Yeah. There were some good things in the show, and this is one of them.
No, this was not.
Well, it started off good. You're right. I take it back. By the end, it was horrible. The beginning of this was awesome. Devon Dudley came out for a promo. He was still distraught over what had happened to his sons. He apologized to Terrence and Terrell. He said the father's worst dream was not being able to protect his kids. He said the boys had called Bubba uncle and that they loved him and he had put his hands on them. Said this was not going unanswered. The most amazing thing about this promo was not Devon's delivery, although that was awesome. The crowd for this promo was in complete and utter silence in a good way.
Yes.
Because they cared what this man had to say, and they respected him. This was an intense silence. This was not indifferent silence. That part was awesome. Then it went downhill quickly.
Stop right there. This is why I hate TNA, and I hate Vince Russo's booking. All you had to fucking do is have Devon Dudley come out and do this exact same promo in front of this exact same crowd, say his piece, and then leave. That's all you've got to do. But, of course not. Devon comes out and cuts a great promo. The crowd is like, when you use the term hanging on every word, they were hanging on every word out of this man's mouth. And then, of course, they had to do an angle. Bubba appears backstage. He's beating on some fella. I was trying to figure out, who is this man? It was a black fellow. I thought, is this one of Devon's sons? This person was not identified. Bubba's just beating on him.
Ever.
So I'm thinking, okay, it probably is not one of Devon's sons because Devon's just standing there.
Yep.
He's not running back to make the save. He's just watching to see what is going to unfold. So Devon's beating on the guy, stomping on him, and he finally reveals who this was. You want to know who it was? He said, and I quote, "It's one of your brothers." An actual brother? A bro? The fuck does this mean?
His exact words were, one of your own, one of your brothers.
One of your own, one of your brothers.
So it was in storyline and in the character of Bubba Ray Dudley's voice, a random black man.
I guess.
Yes, and he apparently thought this would offend Devon so deeply that Devon would, I don't know. But
I don't know what the fuck was going on.
But in fact, Devon didn't give a shit.
No, Devon just stood there. So clearly,
and why should he?
This was not kin.
No.
So Bubba threatened to put this brother through a table, and then Tommy Dreamer showed up and went to work on Bubba.
Yes.
Tommy Dreamer. So now, I swear to God, Bubba is being bullied 2-on-1. Dreamer's working over. Devon goes after him with a chair. Geeks broke it up. And as the Geeks are breaking it up, Bubba disappears. And suddenly, Tommy is down. And the crowd is dead quiet. Now it's not in a good way.
No.
It's in a, hold on, what the fuck happened? Why is Tommy down? At which point, Taz, who the crowd cannot hear, explains that apparently Devon tried to hit Bubba and accidentally hit his friend like a goddamn idiot. This was so stupid.
Yes. That was, by the end, that was a terrible, terrible, terrible segment.
Why can't you just have a guy cut a great promo? Is it that fucking hard?
Yes.
Do you have to write for him? Do you have to be creative? Just let the guy cut a promo and be pissed off. He wasn't even yelling, thank God.
More segments of people not yelling. Madison was backstage. The cowardly heel told Tara to stay backstage. She wanted to prove that she could handle this on her own for an open challenge tonight. We had Crimson versus Magnus. Actually, on the whole, I really like this segment. Magnus cut a promo saying they were very similar, although he was better in every way. He said, they both had good bodies, so his was better. They both were ambitious, although he was more ambitious. The only difference was that he was not carrying Kurt Angle's bags. So Crimson attacked him, laid him out, went to work. Magnus cut him off briefly. The only thing about this segment I didn't like, Magnus did a signal. I will just say that. He moved his arms in a manner to indicate something. Tenay told us that is for his finishing move, the Mag Daddy Driver.
Yeah.
How in the hell do you know that's his finishing move when he's never, ever hit it?
Vinny, Dead Sea Drop is going to yell at us on the board because you're not watching Explosion, I'm sure.
Well, you're correct. No one watches Explosion. So, that's what he did. It did not work, so he should stop signaling for the Mag Daddy Driver. Crimson picked him up and hit a move I don't know if I can describe. It was actually, frankly, amazing, but it sort of like the spinning body slam that I think Chris Harris used to do, except he stops in mid-motion and throws this large grown man backwards the other direction onto his face. I'm sure that's a horrible description. It looked really cool.
Wonder if they call him Crimson, besides the fact that he was supposedly Red's cousin, because he looks like a red-haired Christian. Crimson.
Sure.
This just like Christian.
This was a fun TV match.
It's fine.
What happened next? We had a Rob Van Dam promo. I'm just going to quote one sentence from this verbatim. So what Rob Van Dam said. To be honest, I'm not even sure what tonight's main event is about anymore.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
They listed about a half dozen things it might be about. Amazing.
So Rob Terry came out for his pose down with Scott Steiner. First, he got a promo. I don't think he's ever cut a promo before on TNA. He did fine. He said he wanted to prove that he was the real genetic freak in TNA. Called Steiner out. Steiner was wearing a suit. Said that Terry calling himself a genetic freak pissed him off. Told him to come up with his own nickname, something original like Chernobyl, because he's a chemical disaster.
So he said, a couple of vitamins away from a chemical disaster.
Scott Steiner, everyone. Scott Steiner accused another man of using drugs.
Yeah.
So he
supplements.
Sure. He called Terry a punk ass from bodybuilding trying to make it in his world, and he wasn't going to bother with the pose down. Terry asked him if he was afraid. Steiner said he was going to go get dressed to wrestle, and if Terry was still there when he got back, he was going to kick his ass.
Why didn't he come out to dress to wrestle in the first place? They were supposed to have a bodybuilding contest.
I don't know. I don't care. Terry said it was typical of an American to run away from someone younger and stronger and smarter and bigger. Scott said, "You want to see who's bigger?" Didn't bother arguing about the younger and smarter part. And he started to take his jacket off. Terry hit him with a gimmick and choked him with those stretchy bands that bodybuilders use. It was a fine segment, all in all.
Yeah, way to go, Scott.
He was, in fact, not smarter. Rob Terry was smarter than Scott Steiner. We know that now.
You know, the reason I did care about why he was out in a suit was because the very next in-ring segment was supposed to be Flair versus AJ, and for the second straight segment in a row, back-to-back, a guy was supposed to wrestle, and he came out in a suit. You can't just have one guy do that on this goddamn show.
That's true. They did advertise Flair and AJ as a match, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winter.
So, yeah. Much like, the winter that's outside our window. Velvet came back to her locker room. Winter was there. Velvet was upset. Winter said people were doubting Velvet's abilities, but she was not one of them. She said she wanted to see Velvet prove herself, like when she and Angelina won the tag titles. This made Velvet jealous and angry. She said that when she was done with Sarita, she was coming for Winter.
Is Velvet a lesbian? Why is she so pissed off?
Yes, I believe that is the story, in fact.
All right, well, if that's the story, great.
It is a lesbian love triangle. There's no other explanation. Jeff and Karen were talking to a preacher about their ceremony.
When I'm done with Sarita's ass, she said, I'm coming after yours, bitch.
Yes.
What a great baby face. How lovable.
I don't know.
I'd love to take her home to mom.
None of the women in this company are baby faces. We've established this.
Half are supposed to be, Vince.
No, we've established this. They're all evil bitches. Because that's how Vince Russo sees women.
Oh, my God.
We had Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett talking to a preacher about their ceremony to renew their vows. This is one that was so bad I couldn't help but laugh. First of all, they were talking about Kurt Angle. The preacher did not know who Kurt Angle was. Because you see, no one in TNA is a star. So they tried to explain what they wanted him to do, and he was much like Don West used to be the voice of Brian and Vinny, pointing out how things don't make sense and are unbelievable. The preacher could not fathom that these people had put the custody of children up at stake in a wrestling match.
Yes.
He called it, and then they wanted to have a ceremony where the ex-husband would give his wife away. He called this blasphemy. Mm-hmm. And Jeff Jarrett said, straightforward, mildly offended, no, it's not. It's non-denominational. And then it cut away.
And you laughed uproariously.
I laughed uproariously at last line. I think it was the disdain in his voice. Like Jeff Jarrett took this as a shot.
Yeah.
That it was blasphemy. I may have been the only one who laughed at this. That's entirely possible.
Then we had the best fucking segment of all time, and I'm saying that facetiously.
By best, you mean worst.
It was supposed to be Ric Flair versus AJ Styles. So Flair becomes the second man on the show to come out in a suit instead of his gear. So he calls out AJ, and he's all pissed off. First, he's pissed that Fortune had not told him that they were turning babyface. And he was also pissed, he said, that James Storm was not drinking with him last night. Did they forget that Flair turned on them a week ago, or is it just me? So AJ said, we didn't tell you because you tried and talk us out of it. Flair said it was time to teach you some respect. He slapped him. This is where it got great. AJ tackles Flair, And who should run in to make the save but Hernandez? So, and by the way, I was waiting during this segment for Geeks to run in for what would have been the 4th time on this show. They had Geeks run in 3 different segments in the first hour. Talk about overkill. Amazingly, Geeks did not run in. Because you see, Hernandez went after AJ, and AJ backdropped him outside, laid him out, and went after Flair again.
So for the tally, that's 1 run-in for Hernandez, and 1 time AJ beat him up like a geek.
Don't interrupt me, Vinny.
All right.
So AJ backdrops Hernandez outside, goes after Flair. Moments later, Hernandez comes back in. He attacks AJ again. Now, remember all those times we've talked about, if you're going to beat up a guy, why don't you just beat him up? Why do you have to beat him up, and then he makes his own comeback, and then you beat him up again, and then he makes his own comeback, and then you beat him up again, for real this time? Why don't you just beat the fucking guy up? This set new standards. AJ beats up Hernandez. Hernandez comes back. AJ makes a second comeback. A series of low blows, lays out Hernandez. AJ sends Flair to the barricade. Flair gigs. Hernandez comes back a 3rd time. He attacks AJ again. AJ proceeds to do a flip dive and lays him out a 3rd time. Proceeds to start ripping off all of Flair's clothes. About to do a Styles Clash. Hernandez runs in for the 4th time. Fortune runs down. They clear the ring. I don't know where the fuck they were this whole time.
My today's exact words were, finally, here comes Fortune.
So, after they clear the ring, I swear to God, Hernandez gets taken out a 4th fucking time. This time by Matt Morgan. 4. They're going to kill me last. 4 fucking times.
This was another segment where by the end I was laughing uproariously, much like no doubt many of you doing it right now. Just I could not believe the stupidity of this. What a complete chump Hernandez is. It's a hell of a return he made. He got beat up by AJ over and over and over and over again, and then he was also beaten up by Matt Morgan.
I don't deserve this.
This was this, and Ric Flair bled for this, by the way.
Of course
he did. This was a death of TNA moment, by which I mean you could show someone saying this, a company like this, think about the company that made this segment, and you would say they would die, and you would say they did.
Yeah.
This was horrible. But again, it was so horrible, I was laughing uproariously. Anderson cut a promo backstage.
I don't know if I can go on.
All he cares about is the TNA title. So next week is their March 3rd Impact. They're pushing it very heavily for in a variety of ways. One of which, the verdict for the Dixie Carter versus Hulk Hogan court case is going to be announced on Impact next week. A lawsuit in a Texas court is going to have its verdict announced between the hours of 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern on Spike Television.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's so stupid, no one can take it seriously and no one cares. So Madison came out for the open challenge. She said she had beaten everyone from Angelina to Velvet to Mickey. She wanted a new challenger, and out came ODB. Taz greeted her with these words, "Oh God, they're bigger." So they had a match.
I got a couple of questions.
All right.
Madison, when she came out, was talking about TNA management. And this came moments after they explained that next week, the fate of the company would be determined based on whether Hulk or Dixie won a court case.
Mm-hmm.
So who the fuck is TNA management?
Nobody knows. Anderson actually talked about this in the opening segment. He had no idea who's in charge anymore. Is it Dixie? Is it Hogan? Is it Bischoff? Is it the network? Nobody knows.
Why in TNA are the babyfaces complete fucking incompetent morons?
Because the bookers are complete fucking incompetent morons.
And the heels are the ones that come out and issue open challenges and are fighting champions.
I don't know.
I have no idea what's going on.
Well, you see, this company is shit. And it's produced by people who produce shit.
So the heel issue is an open challenge.
Right.
ODB accepts, and the heel beats are clean.
Just, yep, overcomes.
Yeah.
He's a conquering hero. So they also do this amazing spot.
This is why no one gives a shit about this show.
Yes. So Madison got the heat on ODB. She's working her over, and she goes for the move commonly known as the skull fuck. Only Velvet refuses to cooperate.
Velvet?
Or ODB. Jesus
How
Christ.
the fuck did you do that one?
I should be fired for that right there. ODB refuses to cooperate. She just won't go to her face. And so Madison just stops doing the move and moves on.
Velvet.
What an amazing... Yeah, I fucked up. I fucked up worse than they did. That's for sure.
ODB should be called corduroy.
Burlap.
Is that abrasive enough?
Yes. So, yes, Madison won clean. I don't know if ODB is back full-time or not. If they brought her back full-time and had her lose just like this, that would be something TNA would do. Speaking of Velvet, and this was Velvet, she confronted Sarita in their locker room. She said that basically she was willing to put her career on the line. Sarita was impressed, gave her word there would be no tricks. They would have a straight-up one-on-one wrestling match next week and offered her hand. Velvet reluctantly agreed and walked out. And
After shaking hands,
she walked out, and not 1 second later, not a 60th of a minute later, Sarita had a hearty belly laugh, turned to Rosita and said that she was going to, and I quote, "screw her so hard she'll have trouble walking."
she LOL'd.
Yes. So Velvet cannot possibly have not heard this. Again, it's impossible to take seriously, and that makes it impossible to care about.
Babyfaces are idiots in this company.
Babyfaces are complete tools. Morgan was ranting backstage.
Oh, I hated this.
I have no idea what he was talking about.
I'll tell you what he was talking about.
All right.
He said if anyone knew anything about him, they'd know about the political minefield he'd had to maneuver trying to get the title.
I don't know anything about that.
I've been following Matt Morgan since the day he debuted, and I have no goddamn idea what he's talking about.
I don't have any idea.
Why would anyone have any idea what he's talking about? What the fuck is he talking about? What political minefield?
Don't know.
Bullshit.
So you started talking about
I hate hearing about politics and ratings on television. Nobody cares what your fucking ratings are on television.
Or your political minefield. He started talking about, I think Hernandez. He said somebody cost him the world title at some point. Did Hernandez interfere in a title match he had?
He may have.
Because if he did, I have forgotten it.
Would have been nice to have a replay, but come on now. They got a lot of shit they got to put on the show.
Or just to have, well, it would be nice if they didn't have interference in every single match they do, so that when someone does interfere, I can remember it. We had Jarrett getting fitted for a tux. Karen was being a bitch, and Jeff was sick of her.
Way to get this storyline over.
Just, why should we care about their vows being renewed?
All I know is her boobs were looking good this evening. Mm-hmm. That got me through these segments. And speaking of boobs,
they did a recap of JWoww's appearance in October. Mm-hmm. They just randomly showed this footage from 4 months ago, and then the announcer asked, "Is this the last we'll see of JWoww in TNA?" I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that the fact you brought her up for no reason after 4 months is no. We have not seen the last of her. So, in fact, yes, they announced that Angelina, who I guess is another Jersey Shore person, she's going to be on the show next week to call out JWoww. And sure, Robbie E. and Cookie were fine with this. Angelina's on their side. Even though in this very segment they showed Cookie saying that everyone on Jersey Show was a phony. So there you go.
Who could possibly care?
I don't know. But it's Dixie watches reality TV, and so she assumes that people who are on reality TV are big stars. So she assumes everyone will want to turn in their show, whereas in fact people don't care. This has been established every year after year after year. So you have the main event of Rob Van Dam versus Kurt Angle versus Ken Anderson. We talk about Rob, he
doesn't care.
He does not care anymore. There was a point here where he was like on the middle rope, and he knocked Kurt off, and he decided he didn't want to be in the middle rope, he wanted to be on the top rope. Making this transition took him about 30 seconds. It took him forever. And TNA did not edit it out at all.
No.
They showed it in its embarrassing, excruciating glory. So then Anderson takes Rob Van Dam down on the mat. He applies what I think was supposed to be an arm bar. It looked completely phony, and Rob sold this by pumping his fist defiantly. Mm-hmm. This was some bad pro wrestling. Kurt Angle single-handedly took it upon himself to try to make this a good match through 10,000 suplexes on guys. He was about to hook the ankle lock when Jeff and Karen came out in their tux and wedding gown. This distracted him, and he was pinned by Ken Anderson.
I love the part in this match where Anderson couldn't decide if he wanted to work on the left or the right arm. Remember when he put on that hold?
Yeah.
He put on a wacky hold on the right arm.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what the hold was. And then he just let go and put a different hold on the other arm. Mm-hmm. This guy's a horrible wrestler.
Yes, he is. He is no good. So they plugged the big lineup for next week. The highlight of this was Mike Tenay very clearly reading his script right on camera. Mm-hmm. Does not care. They don't care. Nobody cares. Then either Taz or Tenay got in his ear noticed that they had new footage, which means we got to see Mike Tenay reacting to the words new footage. What was the new footage, everyone? There was a man in a trench coat in the rain. We only saw his coat and his boots. And then on the screen appeared in smoky letters, not making this up, 3311.
Yeah.
Just wave a giant sign.
That's what happened, everybody.
Yes. Just wave a giant sign reading, "We are a second-rate knockoff company."
They ripped off 22111. Mm-hmm.
They did the exact same thing. Unabashedly.
My buddy Aaron sent me about 24 messages that have been posted to Dixie's Twitter. I want to read a couple of them. So, your huge surprise for Impact was that you can copy a promo video that WWE has been doing for the past month. Great job! This person says, yay for copying WWE. Fuck you, you dumbass bitch. Whoa. Booker G says, I'm officially done with TNA. Don't say shocking surprise and not deliver. You just lost a viewer. F you. This person says, LOL, that little 3311 promo, that's the reason nobody takes your bingo hall company seriously. The Click Army says, so TNA just basically stole the WWE Taker 22211 promo. Lame.
Basically.
Diva Lover 159. Learn to be original and never ever copycat. If you want to be taken seriously, not as a joke that you just made yourselves tonight, learn to be original and you're nothing more but a joke. Just saying. Could you please be more original? 3311. Really? And you wonder why your company sucks and it's in the gutter. Get new writers. Good job ripping off WWE in their 22111 bit. Same font and everything. Anyway, that's about a third of them that I got sent here.
The point here, everyone,
people are not into this, apparently.
Impact sucks. Everyone knows it.
Yeah. Hopefully I get emails tomorrow with people thinking it might be The Undertaker.
That was my hope, actually, that they would somehow indicate Undertaker was going to be on Impact. After he showed up on Raw, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
This aired after the resolution of 22111.
Anyway, this is a goddamn horrible show, everybody.
Still better than last week.
I got nothing more to say about it. All right, let's play one last song, and then I've got to... I got to get out of here.
Pass on.
I've got to move on. And I lost my song.
Well, let's end the show. All
right. It's been real, everybody. I guess we'll... Oh, wait, I found it. Here we go. Thank God for Backspace. I just look at him. Okay, that's the woo-woo guy. What the fuck is his name?
Are you serious, bro? I'm the man around here. How do I know? The radio told me. I'm charismatic, I'm athletic, I'm good looking, and I've got a killer sense of style. These lady's want an original. See some shades? Lady Gaga, come on, just dance, let's do it. I've got the skills, I've got the hair, I've got the look.
How can that?
No.
The woo-woo guy. What the fuck is his name? Fuck is his name?
What is your deal, bro? Are you mad because I'm way more entertaining than you? But more importantly, what's up, baby girl? I love you, XOXO. You've been Zach tested, rider approved. You don't want to make me mad. I could double your Twitter followers in a day if I wanted to. I'd rather be homeless living in the United States than to live in a mansion eating moose meat here in Canada. But bro, did you even land on the moon? The radio told me that was all set up. What exactly does woo-woo-woo mean? Or wouldn't you like to know it?
How can that?
I just look at him. What the fuck is his name?
Woo-woo-woo, you know it.
The woo-woo guy.
You know it.
The woo-woo guy.
Wait.
Well, hi, Zack Ryder.
I just cannot remember fucking Zack Ryder's name.
Zack Ryder.
Oh, yeah. I apologize to the woo-woo guy.
You know it. Long Island IZ, 2010.
I miss Tiffany.
Oh, God, yeah. Totally.
Her brief deal in that song. All right, everybody. I'm going to bed. I'm going to try and heal. I'll be back Saturday night with my old voice.
Bye.